and welcome to the 2022 Women's Tour. Now, over the next 6 days, we're going to be bringing you the best of the action as the riders race from here in Colchester, finishing up in 6 days' time in Oxford. And if last year's race is anything to go by, you're going to be in for a real treat.
Just stretching that gap, causing some damage in that peloton. And they've come together, big crash. Marta Bastianelli just punches a hole through that gap. Nina Kessler, it looks like she's going to take maximum points through there.
Clara Caponi, though, she really is knocking on the door for that victory.
Weavers is going to take this one.
For Christine Majerus, this course will suit her.
Davy Vollering, the Dutch rider from Team SD Works. Phenomenal ride. Right down the centre, here comes Lorena Weavers. Lorena Weavers has got the gap. Lorena Weavers takes the stage. Lorena Weavers now kicks through towards the front. Looks like she's got a bit of daylight between her and the rest of the riders she has. It's going to be the first victory in the rainbow jersey for Elisa Balsamo.
Well, I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Corinne Levecki of Jumbo Visma. Corinne, great to see you here today. How are you feeling about the Women's Tour?
Feeling great. I had a good warm-up last week at Ride London, so we're looking forward to another week here in the UK.
Yeah, and you won, of course, this series in 2018. Can you talk me through some of your memories of that run?
Yeah, it was a beautiful year. I didn't expect it. I don't really think of myself as a GC rider, but we had a great stage win on stage 2, and honestly, it was up to the girls and the team to hold on to the GC. So yeah, that was more of a win for them than it was for me.
Now, I asked you a moment ago before we started this interview, are you nervous? And you kind of said no. I'm literally not nervous at all for it. Just looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, I love racing. This is what I love to do, and yeah, you put me in a race situation that I'm really in my zone. So no, I'm not really nervous. Probably more nervous for this interview than I am for racing, but no, I just love racing. Yeah, I know I'm saying we haven't got the best weather for it, maybe than kind of what you're used to. But what do you like about racing on the British roads? The fans are great. Reminds me a little bit of home, but like going past the schools and all the kids screaming for us, I think is a real motivating feeling.
Well, Corinne, you're going to stay with me for a moment. Let's just take a look then at what the riders are going to be facing over the next 6 days.
The 6 stages of the 2022 Women's Tour kicks off in the east, with stage 1 starting in Colchester to Bury St Edmunds. Stage 2 sees an all-Harlow event with a 90-kilometre out and back route. The tour then heads west to the Gloucestershire countryside from Tewkesbury to Gloucester before getting serious for 2 gruelling Welsh stages, Wrexham to Welshpool and the Queen Stage, Pembury Country Park to Black Mountain. The stage then continues from Chipping Norton to Oxford and will see the riders finish the tour in the Oxfordshire countryside.
So, Corinne, what do you make of the overall route for this week then?
I think it's looking pretty dynamic, a lot of different kinds of stages, obviously an uphill finish on stage 5, so I think that'll play a little more to the GC, and the time bonuses will play less of a factor, but you never know at this race. Yeah, and in terms of the other teams, who do you think is going to really challenge this week? I think for the sprints, Lorena is obviously the big favorite, especially after last week. And then Longo Borghini is here, and Trek. They come off with a really strong team as well, with Ellen setting a new hour record. And then, of course, Ashley Mulliman and SD Works always comes with a really strong team. So I think those are more the GC favorites for the week. Yeah, and you're feeling pretty confident as a team today? Yeah, absolutely. I think we're looking for the stage win today, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, quietly confident. I like it. Well, we'll let you continue with your preparations. Thanks for speaking to us, and all the best for this week. Well, let's hear now from some of the other riders.
I love racing on British roads in a British race, and when the crowds come out, it really cheers you up a bit. And yeah, it's just nice to see them, and hopefully we're inspiring them as well. We go into all the races to do the best we can and hopefully win. So I think we can do that with the variation of the team and the stages we've got here.
because of the organization, the race itself, and the roster of the teams that are here, I think is one of the most important races of the calendar. I'm here for racing and for understanding if I worked well in the past 3 weeks. So I will try to do my best for myself and for the team.
There it is, she's holding the pigtail to the side, and massive salutes as she crosses the line. The first win of the year then for Nui Adoma, the Polish champion.
I remember just riding the first stage, and at some point I kind of got bored, so I was like, I would just go for it. And I feel like nobody actually thought I could make it to the finish line because it was still 50 Ks to go. I would say that my individual and team goal is the same, which is to win stage and to fight for the GC podium.
The first couple of days, people will kind of be playing it a bit easy, I guess, because they know what's to come in the hillier stages, like stage 4 and 5, because for sure that's going to be difficult, and finishing on the mountaintop finish on the Black Mountain is going to be, I think that's going to be where the GC is decided.
For me, this is one of the most important tours on my calendar. It's a tour that suits my style of racing, so yeah, it's been a long season so far, so I'm not exactly sure how my form's going to be, but I think that I will ride into the race and hopefully do well.
As you can tell, the riders are all looking forward to the action this week. Let's now take a look at what they're going to be facing today.
The tour sets off with a long 142-kilometre stage from Colchester. The route initially heads south before turning northwards towards the first Queen of the Mountains climb at Brantham Hill. Shortly after comes the first and second sprints at Holbrook and Hadley before the race heads through the second Queen of the Mountains at Bilderston. After taking in a loop through Needham Market and Stowe Market, the race then heads northwest some 70 kilometres more towards the eventful finish in Bury St Edmunds. Colchester was once Britain's first city and a former Roman capital. Now a thriving modern town, it's home to a vast array of events and attractions, making it one of the region's most popular destinations. Stage 1 will start at the Colchester Sports Park at Northern Gateway, the new 76-acre sports and leisure facility. Bury St Edmunds is known as the jewel in the crown of Suffolk and is nestled in the beautiful countryside, steeped in legend and history. Its medieval grid comprises lanes brimming with independent shops, restaurants and cafes, all of which lead to the picturesque Abbey Gardens, home to the ruins of the former Benedictine Abbey. Adjacent to the park is St Edmundsbury Cathedral, celebrating its millennium anniversary this year.
Well, that's it from me. It's time now to hand you over to our commentary team for all the action from Stage 1.
The riders on the start line for the 2022 edition of the Women's Tour. 97 riders from 17 teams, including 15 British riders, and a celebration of national champions and previous winners. Away we go. We are off and away on the neutralised section of Stage 1 here on the Women's Tour for 2022. So on the route today, our first objective of the day will be Brantham Hill, so the Queen of the Mountains point. That comes with 34.4 to go. Then Bilderston with 80.5 to go. Holbrook, that comes with 100.9 to go. And 71.1 to go will be High Street and Hadley. So those bonus seconds, as we said, is always very important. Cams Basso up towards the front, so a British team: Sophie Lewis, Beth Morrow, Katie Scott, Danny Shrewsbury, Becky Storey. And for anyone that followed the Tour Series last month, making her debut here was one of the riders of the Tour Series is Sammy Stewart.
You know, a real quick turnaround in the last 2 weeks. They've signed her onto the team. She's now racing one of the most prestigious races on the women's calendar in the Women's Tour, and it's a huge moment for her. But they come with some really strong riders. I mean, Becky Storey, once we get into those more hillier days, those more general classification days, she'll be really a rider to watch out for, and a rider who's really excels on the climbs. We've seen before that breakaways can go away here, and if you have a group of 6-7 riders, it's incredibly difficult to bring those riders back here on the British roads, and it's the way that they race is very, very different. There's never really a let-up, although we look at today's stage and it looks to be a bunch sprint. It's incredibly difficult, and it's always undulating, which puts a lot of fatigue into those legs, and you can just never underestimate the breakaway should it go away. And I think they have a good opportunity this week to make some breakaways.
In terms of sprints, we might look at Shayla, we might look at Barbara Gvarishki in the sort of, we know what she's like in the rough and tumble of the sprints, and then Sarah Martin as well, the young Spanish rider, potentially for GC here.
Yeah, and even for some of those sprints, she's a really fast finisher, and I think they do come here with plenty of option, and it's really interesting that Barbara Gvarishki has actually gone back to the track with the Italian Federation. She's done one of the Track Nations Cup.
Away we go, kilometre 0, we are off and racing. The car pulls away, the neutral car, and we are off and racing. Elisa Longa Borghini on the front in the centre of your picture there in the Italian national champions jersey. As you see Sophie Wright just moving up towards the front. Christine Majerus, Sarah Martin there from Team Movistar. So the first objective for the riders will be after 34.4 kilometres of today's stage. That will be the first Queen of the Mountains point at Brantham Hill. And then our first sprint of the day will come after 41.2. That's with 100.9 kilometres to go. Heading towards our first of 2 Skoda Queen of the Mountains points of today's stage 1. 108 kilometres to go to the finish. The first objective will be Brantham Hill. And Hannah, 500 metres, just over 4%. So not massive today, but this Skoda Queen of the Mountains point as they start the climb, it's always a much fought over jersey.
It always is, and we can see Tiffany Cromwell doing the bulk of the work at the front here for Canyon SRAM with her teammate, the Swiss rider Elise Chabe, who won this jersey last year, really wanting to vie and try and fight for those maximum points. She's got Marta Lack close on her wheel, EF Education, Tibco Silicon Valley Bank, never too far away, and the top part of this climb really starts to ramp up.
And Elise Chabe, the Swiss rider, really is becoming the Queen of the Mountains. She's won multiple jerseys throughout the year, and Tiffany Cromwell, as always, doing a fabulous lead out for the Canyon SRAM team. Just coming up, Gladys Verhulst, Christine Majerus just at the bottom of your picture in that red, white and light blue jersey, the Luxembourg national champion. You can see the rain spots on the lens, but they're lining up for the top now, and it's Verhulst that starts to lead out this sprint, but here comes Majerus.
Take a look at this turn of speed from the Luxembourgish champion, shoulder to shoulder with Gladys Verhulst, and Majerus, patient. She's opened up a bike length here, and no one is able to respond here, Marty.
They're not. Christine Majerus will crest the summit here of the first Queen of the Mountains point of the day, takes maximum points. Elise Chabe, Megan Jastrab up there as well. And it looks like Marie Lenné there in 4th for FDJ Nouvelle Aquitaine Futuroscope. So they have one climb to go here today, but 4 points goes to Christine Majerus. Last year's champion Elise Chabe takes 2nd spot. Great start for Megan Jastrap of Team DSM in 3rd. I think as well, there's early on, there's just this kind of a little bit of a shuffle going on at the moment. We'll have as well that first intermediate sprint of the day. Those bonus seconds, as we said earlier on, are always so important in these races.
Yeah, 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds available for the intermediate sprints. So we've got 2 intermediate sprints, so when you take a look at how many seconds are available, 16 seconds for the general classification available today for the riders, should they take all 16 of those. So it is important, and I think now we've got that first Queen of the Mountain, the Skoda Queen of the Mountain out the way, we'll have a slight lull for the peloton. They'll just try and regroup, regather themselves. They'll take a little bit more fuel and nutrition on. You can just see Alison Jackson there up towards the front, the Canadian champion for Live Racing Extra, just doing that along with Elena Cicchini of SD Works too. So it's a moment just to reset, regather what's going on ahead of the next big point on the road, and that's that first sprint into Holbrook.
Ellen van Dijk there just putting the gilet on, and it is one of those things on a day like this, isn't it? Because you roll out, we saw everyone getting rid of their gilets and their jackets, and then you get to this point, you've got to put them all back on again.
That's Britain for you, and I don't think it would be the women's tour without a bit of this dodgy weather. Let's say I remember, riding these. I've ridden 5 editions of the women's tour, and we've had some absolutely horrendous weather. You can see the rain's coming down pretty hard now for these riders, which again just adds to that nervousness throughout the peloton. The way the riders will be cornering, and it can potentially make for some treacherous conditions out there. But again, nothing that the riders haven't faced before. But again, the way that the equipment is ridden and used as well, the clothing that the sponsors provide for these teams, they will all have wet bags in the car behind, so they'll have gilets, rain capes, potentially even spare shoes. I know once I learned a big lesson in racing where I didn't have a spare pair of shoes, and unfortunately that was my race over because in a crash I lost a vital part of my shoe.
And knowing the movement of the peloton, knowing exactly where to be at the right time in terms of the weather conditions, the wind, at the right point at the right time, knowing where you need to be. And there's a few riders who will take a look at the whole 142 kilometers of today's course and know every single pinch point of the stage. There's a couple of little descents on today's stage where they really need to be aware of, and where you start to see a narrowing in the road, the high hedgerows, which sort of limits the visibility for the peloton and for the riders.
It's having that road captain, isn't it? We just saw Rihanna Marcus from Team Jumbo-Visma talking into the radio, and like you said, Hannah, it's having that captain on the road, which would have been decided before the race, who can really guide the peloton in terms of the real key moments of the race, making sure the riders are towards the front on those critical moments to keep them out of trouble and give them the best opportunities. We saw Swan Years on the side of the road there generally use a drag to give the riders bidons or more fuel, which is again more conducive to kind of being able to grab a bottle with slower speeds. You can see 2 of the Camps Basso riders here just getting rid of their bidons after that first QOM of the day.
Live Racing Extra through towards the front here on the left of your picture in the purple jersey. So we're looking at our first intermediate sprint of the day. Back to the back of the peloton, and Ellen van Dijk here just hanging out at the back, the European champion. Just be as well, we'll potentially just be trying to find the road legs again after focusing on that hour records. 1 kilometre to go into our first intermediate sprint of the day. This is why our teams now are up towards the front. So Live Racing Extra in the purple, Sarah Tizet WNT just talking into the radio. 1 kilometre to go to our first sprint of the day. So Sarah Tizet leading out. They've got Maria Giulia Confalonieri 4th in line here. Eleanor Backstead, you can see there in the white and light blue of Trek Segafredo. The UAE jerseys now up towards the front. Watch out for Sofia Bertizzolo. And Live Racing Extra with the likes of Talita de Jong in there. You can see Christine Majerus as Schweinberger now takes over on the front for Sarah Tizet.
Sarah did a brilliant job there, lead out from Franziska Browser, the Olympic team pursuit champion, delivering Christina Schweinberger with a lot of speed. And then you've got this duo, Marta Lack taking over for Maria Giulia Confalonieri, but you can see Nicole Wahoo trying to get involved, Alison Jackson as well for Live Racing Extra.
As they come up towards the line, so the Nicole Wahoo team here are going to take the first intermediate sprint of the day, with Maria Giulia Confalonieri and Alison Jackson both getting themselves up there, but a great sprint there. And that says 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds.
Maaike van der Duin there from Nicole Wahoo. What a sprint. I mean, she's an incredible track rider as well. Great turn of speed on her. Always something that you have to think about is when you're going into a city or a town, there could be diesel that's been spilt on the road, there's oil, there's all sorts of grease and grime, and especially in conditions like this where it is wet, you can see the shine on the road from where it's rained, but it hasn't completely taken away that grease from the road. So you've always had buses, cars, there's white lines, and that's always something that you really need to think about as we go into the final kilometre into this the second and final intermediate sprint of the day. And again, Sarah Tizet WNT taking it up on the front with Franziska Browser. Nicole Wahoo now though with April Tacey wanting to try and look after the interests of Maaike van der Duin here. So they have put a couple couple of riders up there, and EF Education, Tibco, Silicon Valley Bank up there with Tanya Ereth in the centre of the road here, Marty.
They are indeed. Ereth in the centre, Nicole Wahoo, Sarah Tizzett, WNT, Quinty Ton for Live Extra with Alison Jackson, the national champion of Canada. Here comes Vanda Down, though, in those blue and pink colours of Nicole Wahoo. Maria Giulia Confalonieri right on the wheel, though. Vanda Down looking to try and take second sprint in this one, so they're leading it out here, and Confalonieri launches her move towards the line here. Here comes Jackson off the wheel as well, so straight through the centre. So UAE, ADQ also up here trying to challenge for this one. Jackson and Vanda Down, though, come through. Micah Vanda Down comes through to take her second sprint. So Vanda Down takes the points from Alison Jackson and April Tacey. My apology, I got confused with the Nicole Wahoo rider there, but coming through Vanda Down, sprinting so well here today.
Interestingly, Vanda Down came off the wheel of Alison Jackson on the left-hand side of the picture as we saw it, so the right-hand side of the road, where you had April Tacey doing all the work on the opposite side of the road. I mean, maybe perhaps a slight miscommunication there. It all worked out in the end, but there was a lot of energy expended kind of at April Tacey leading out Maria Giulia Confalonieri at that point.
She did, essentially. You know, looking around her shoulder as well, obviously just lost each other in the last few 100 metres leading into that intermediate sprint. But for Micah Vanda Down, she had the legs, and what I was really impressed with there, as Tiff Cromwell is chasing onto the back now, was how patient she was in that sprint. She really did wait until the last minute, and she had the strength to take that one.
So the Canadian champions building some seconds here, just putting them in the bank.
And someone who's going to be vital come the finish, and someone who's going to have a very fast turn of speed on her. And we've seen her up there in bunch sprints in previous races, and just how strong she is. And especially when it becomes technical, that's where Alison Jackson really thrives. And I think when you take a look at, she's gained 3 bonus seconds so far, and with the 10, 6 and 4 available on the finish line into Bury St Edmunds, she could be trying to vie for that leader's jersey.
Caroline Swinkles in the centre of your picture there, wearing the yellow and black of Jumbo-Visma. Corinne Lebecki, of course, their rider there. Charlotte Kool with Lorena Wiebes, will not be far away from her. Cassia Niewiadoma with Elise Chabet on the wheel. So Canyon SRAM here looking to try and lead out for the Queen of the Mountains with Chabet.
And you know what I find really impressive, Marty, is that Cassia Niewiadoma is obviously on the front working for Elise Chabet at this point in the race, but actually I'm sure that the tables will turn, and then the team will be riding for Cassia in the stages to come. But Cassia very happy to do the work at this point of the race for teammate Elise Chabet.
Into Bilderston. This will be our next objective of the day, our climb as we come through Bilderston. It's another old town, and Niewiadoma on the front. Chabet, second wheel here, has been targeting the Queen of the Mountains points. As the start of the climb, second climb of the day, our categorised climb here at Bilderston. Cassia Niewiadoma on the front with Elise Chabet. Romy Casper on your right there for Jumbo-Visma. British champion Pfeiffer Georgie in that white jersey with the red, white and blue bands. Here comes Christine Majerus in that red, white and blue jersey. Majerus is back in there after that mechanical. Go past the soigneurs on the right here. So already here on stage 1 of the Women's Tour, the Queen of the Mountains is already hotting up nicely. Quinty Ton looking for the soigneur at the side. Unfortunately missing that bottle. Caroline Swinkles, Audrey Cordon-Rago comes through with Elisa Longo-Borghini right on the wheel.
British rider Sophie Wright as well, present at the front for Team UAE. Great to see her coming to the fore for this QOM.
So the sprint starts, the first one of the day. Majerus from Chabet and Megan Jastrab up there. Niewiadoma just setting the tempo here for Chabet. Chabet had a great battle for that Queen of the Mountains title last year. But Niewiadoma doing a great job here for the teammate. Ups the tempo. You can see the style, the familiar style here of a former winner of the Women's Tour, 2 stage wins in her career as in Kasia Niewiadoma. Can she deliver Elise Chabet to the points here in this one? But Majerus goes, and Chabet quickly on her. The SD Works rider opens the gap. Look at the jump here of Christine Majerus as she heads towards the summit, looks to try and take the second points of the day, and she does. So maximum points here today for the SD Works rider.
Incredible sprint there to take the top of that QOM by Christine Majerus, again putting distance into the riders behind. A lot of patience, and then decided to launch it. And it looks like there's been a counter-attack after this one as well from Team Jumbo-Visma. It is Carleen Schwinkels as well, who's taken it on to try and start the first break of the day.
Carleen Schwinkels goes on the attack. Is that April Tacey that's going with her from Lecole Wahoo? But Carleen Schwinkels just goes here. It's Gladys Verholst, my apologies, for Lecole Wahoo. We saw her earlier on trying to get rid of her glasses, back to the team car behind, as Trek Segafredo just fill up with bottles.
Chloe Hoskin just missing that one from her team Soignier there on the side of the road. A few riders actually struggling with taking the bidons today. They will be able to potentially get them off of teammates, or maybe go back to the team car when the time is right. Danny Shrewsbury there on the right-hand side with an attack for Cams Basso.
So big move now by Danny Shrewsbury. So jumped from a little bit further down the group as well, did the Cams Basso rider. So no breaks, have managed to get themselves established today. Is this the moment? Great time trialist as well as Danny Shrewsbury. Now goes on the offensive here for Cams Basso. Nicely timed move. Lone leader Danny Shrewsbury of Cams Basso had built a commanding lead, but unfortunately, due to an incident ahead of the race, the breakaway rider and the peloton behind were brought to a halt, and the race was paused. The riders did their best to entertain themselves with Coupe high-tech products, keeping warm by dancing, while riders chatted about the situation and the rest of the stage to come. After a pause of nearly an hour, the race was restarted with Danny Shrewsbury giving her gap, but the inevitable happened just inside 15 kilometres to go. The Cams Basso rider was swept up, and now it was all about the bunch sprint. 10 kilometres to go through Bradfield St Clair. We're lining up now for the bunch sprint. Danny Shrewsbury, our solo leader, swept up inside 15 kilometres to go. Now you can see multiple teams coming through towards the front. So the Live Extra team, they've got Alison Jackson on the wheel, Movistar through the centre, DSM for Lorena Wiebes, then Trek Segafredo on the left here in those white jerseys, led by European champion Ellen van Dijk. She's on the front here, looking to try and set this one up for sprinter Chloe Hosking. DSM coming through as well, and that is the key with Team DSM and that lead out for Lorena Wiebes. While we've seen them control things with Franziska Koch, we've seen Megan Jastrup up there, they're a team that's so cool, so calm. They're never sort of flustered into working and doing too much too early.
I think that's the key to the team, though. If you start to get flustered, if you start to feel that pressure, then you're never going to be able to perform, because you're thinking too much about the job in hand. You need to come in with a calm approach, a very calculated approach. Everyone has to know exactly what their job is, where their job ends, where they need to assist their lead out until. And I think by having an approach where everyone's really flustered and you're starting to think too much about the process in hand, you're never going to be able to deliver. And I think that is the key, making sure that it's clear, precise communication between everybody.
And that's what they've always done for years and years. They've been so good at their lead out. It's almost like they go into a training camp, they practice what they're doing, and like you say, Hannah, and what we mentioned earlier, it's controlling the controllables, and they're allowed to set their lead out in formation.
Trek Segafredo on the left though. Can it be a day for them. You can see Jumbo Visma on the right, though, trying to move up, and as well in the blue jersey with the white shoulders, you can see Emilia Farlin from Sweden. She's got Clara Caponi on the wheel. And Clara Caponi, you saw there just nodding to Emilia Farlin, just to move across. Lots of communication going on at the front of the peloton. So for FDJ, having Farlin up there for Caponi, this is great. Emilia Farlin, the Swedish rider, again, fast finisher, so experienced as well, to help Clara Caponi, who just really over the last couple of seasons has just, you know, coming again from a strong track background as she is, having someone like Emilia there to just help guide her through these finishes. They haven't got the big lead out. She's, again, another rider, and it's good for an emerging sprinter to learn how to surf off everybody else and freelance these sprints.
And coming off a really strong spring campaign for Clara Caponi, I think that would have given her so much confidence. And we were saying last year, Marty, when we had the women's tour at the end of the year, she was always so close to that victory. She was always knocking on the door. She was second, third, second, fourth. She was always up there in those bunch finishes, but also in the intermediate sprints too. So I think for Caponi, despite coming back from that broken collarbone, coming back from injury, I think if she can find some confidence and try and deliver today, I think that will continue into the rest of the week.
Just see Corinne Lebecki, the American rider, just at the bottom of your picture there, wearing number 14. 114 rather, from Jumbo Visma, so in the yellow colours. So can she get up there in this sprint today? Former general classification winner, former stage winner in this race as well. Great job that Francisca Koch here on the front for DSM has done today. Caponi just moving up on the right. And you can see a technical run in towards the finish in Bury St Edmunds. So stage 142.1 kilometres today. And the women's tour, who will take the general classification win. We started in 2014. It was Marianne Vos that won it on that occasion. Lisa Brennauer in 2015. Lizzie Deignan, the first of her 2 general classification wins in 2016. It was a standout win for Kasia Niewiadoma in 2017. Great addition by Corinne Lebecki in 2018. Lizzie Deignan 2019. Demi Vollering last year, 2021, who's not here this year to defend her title. But the aerial shot you can see here as Trek Segafredo now move up on the right-hand side of the peloton.
And this is why being up towards the front is so important, because they were able to carry the teams of FDJ Nouveau Aquitaine there and Trek Segafredo were able to carry so much speed around that left-hand bend. The riders behind, who were sort of in 20th, 30th, 40th position, having to chase back on, close the gap, sort of eat into those reserves. You're just trying to make sure that you're as efficient and as smooth as possible, and that's why it's so important to be up towards the front. As Movistar, they still tried to maintain and hold that position in the centre of that peloton with Laura Zayabide, Alethea Gonzalez and Barbara Grischi on the wheel. Barbara Grischi with number 34 on her back.
So on the left, Farlin, as you can just see just a little bit further down the group there. Don't for Lorena Vives, she will get brought through by the team at exactly the right moment, exactly the moment that she wants to be brought up towards the front. But they swing off that section onto a wider section of road now. Caponi just moving up there, wearing 21 onto the wheel of her teammate. Doesn't want to lose the teammate's wheel. There's Jackson. Trek Segafredo get back into formation here. SD Works are also up towards the front. Sophie Lewis of Cams Basso wearing 101, the yellow and red colours of the Cams Basso rider. Great track rider is the young British rider. Her teammate Danny Shrewsbury has been off the front for our break of the day today as Sophie Lewis. We were talking about Sophie Lewis throughout the day today, a rider that comes into the Women's Tour after a great Tour Series, won the opening round of the Tour Series in Guisborough, and now for that young rider, she's on the Great Britain national team, great track rider as well, national Omnium champion 5 kilometers to go as we run in towards Bury St Edmunds now. The sprint is starting, so Bike Exchange Jayco trying to bring Alex Manley up towards the front. Multiple riders there from FDJ just trying to get themselves around Caponi, but here come DSM on the left from that aerial shot with Wiebes right on the wheel of Charlotte Cool and Pfeiffer Georgie.
Ellen van Dijk showing her experience there as they went round that last right-hand bend, just swinging to the right-hand side of the road, giving the opportunity for the whole of the Trek Segafredo team to get into formation. Interestingly, Eleanor Backstead behind Chloe Hoskin at this stage, maybe being used as a sweeper to make sure other teams don't latch onto the back of Chloe Hoskin, who is one of the favourites for today.
And you just see how much smoother the ride of Team DSM and Trek Segafredo is for their sprinters. The speed is consistent, the power is consistent. Those other teams and riders who are in between there, who are constantly trying to fight their way through, as you see that washing machine effect, riders trying to find their way up towards the front of this peloton. Team SD Works trying to maintain alongside Trek Segafredo there, but FDJ Nouvel Aquitaine, they're in got a great lead out going, but they're doing so much work to make sure that they're maintaining that position in the center of the peloton. Marie Lenné coming through here with Clara Caponi up there, Maëlle Grossetet, as well as Amelia Farland and Clara Caponi. So it's so incredibly difficult to hold that position here, and likewise with Bike Exchange, Ariana Fidanza just trying to hold on to that lead out train that's forming of FDJ.
Marlon Reusser for SD Works with Elena Cecchini, the Italian, right on the wheel from this aerial shot here that you can see. Nina Boisman with Marit Reimakers for the human-powered health team. Trek Segafredo, though, all in formation on the right-hand side of the bunch. Really so invested today for Chloe Hosking. We just see Corinne Lebecki also moving up onto the wheel of Eleanor Backstead, but look at this, Ellen van Dijk and Marlon Reusser, the two best time trialists in the world, you would say, going shoulder to shoulder, matching each other for power. But on the right here, look, as we said, how patient they always are in Team DSM in the lead out for Lorena Wiebes for FDJ. Nouvel Aquitaine for Turiscope, looking to try and deliver this one for Clara Caponi.
Marlon Reusser finishing her lead out for Elena Cecchini now. Elena happy to try and surf off the wheels of Trek Segafredo, who are doing a lead out for their sprinter, Chloe Hosking.
Katrin Schweinberger just coming through, the Austrian champion of Ceratizit WNT, with Maria Giulia Confonlieri on her wheel as UAE Team ADQ try to come alongside here to form their sprint lead out. But take a look at this. This is battle, battle, battle for every space, every inch on the road as we go into the final few kilometers. Audrey Cordon-Rigaud now takes over with Elisa Longo-Borghini in the wheel. Their sprint train is so dialed.
So Amelia Farland trying to do a big job there for FDJ. Her job is done. Now the move here comes up towards the front. Franziska Braus of Ceratizit WNT. Powerful track rider is Franziska Braus with Katrin Schweinberger right on the wheel. Then Maria Giulia Confalonieri as Audrey Cordon-Rigaud matches the lead out here of Ceratizit WNT. Pfeiffer Georgie, the British champion, now comes up. She's got Charlotte Cool and then Lorena Wiebes. 2 kilometers to go in towards the finish, as you see now from that aerial shot. Elena Cecchini just trying to keep herself up towards the front of this one. As Braus, how much more riding does she have in the legs here?
Elisa Longo-Borghini giving it absolutely everything she's got now to try and get Chloe Hoskin in the right position into this technical finish of the last few hundred meters.
So Longo-Borghini right there. So they've got Chloe Hosking, they've got Loretta Hansen is right there. Marta Lack now takes it up on the front here for Ceratizit WNT. Longo-Borghini moves across now as they try to get themselves in on the mix. Alex Manley trying to get up there for Team Bike Exchange Jayco. Hansen right on the wheel now with Chloe Hosking, who's in the lead out there of Elisa Longo-Borghini. So Hansen just working as that minesweeper, but here come Team Movistar as well. Don't forget that they've got Barbara Grawryski in there as well, but Marta Lack right on the front here for the Ceratizit WNT team through this roundabout, and then they'll have a left-hander and then a right-hander and then the run in towards the finish.
This is a terrific lead out from Marta Lack here on the front, the former Polish champion, as she just swings off. Elisa Longo-Borghini of Trek Segafredo takes over. Marta Lack, she's trying to search for the sprinter Maria Giulia Confonieri. She's going to try and bridge this gap. She's looking for her at the moment, and it all starts to become swamped as we go through that Flamme Rouge. 900 meters to go now.
They got a little gap. There's they fight for Georgie. Just tries to bring Lorena Wiebes. They got the left at Georgie makes it through. So does Charlotte Kool. Wiebes makes it through as well. Chloe Hosking is there. Majerus is there. Gwarishki is there as well. But fight for Georgie takes over on the front. Hosking right on the wheel. Here comes Lebecki coming up on the wheel now. Caroline Swinkels. We swing left here, but it's fight for Georgie on the front with Charlotte Kool. Lorena Wiebes. Hosking is there as well. So Wiebes right on the wheel now. Charlotte Kool. Gwarishki moves into position, but Caroline Swinkels trying to bring Corinne Lebecki up towards.
No.
Huge crash on the final corner. Who is still in the mix for this one? You see one of the Trek Segafredo riders from the aerial shot trying to get going, but it's Elena Cecchini on the front, Sofia Bertizzolo and Clara Caponi that look like they now have a small gap over the riders behind. The Italian rider though, Cecchini leading this one out. Here comes Bertizzolo. Caponi on the outside. It's going to be between Caponi and Bertizzolo. It looks like it's going to be Clara Caponi. Caponi takes it for FDJ. Her first win as a professional rider. The trackie comes of age on the road. Multiple podiums in 2021, but unfortunately that crash taking out Lorena Wiebes and Charlotte Kool.
You can see as the teams and the riders are trying to get themselves organised. It's the British champion Pfeiffer Georgie who swings off. She leaves it to Charlotte Kool of DSM, who's got Lorena Wiebes in the wheel. And this is where that crash occurs with Caroline Swinkels, Barbara Grischi being involved, and Audrey Cordon-Rigaud, the Trek Segafredo rider there, almost having to come to a dead stop and try and get back going again. For those riders who were way too far back at that point in the race, and it was almost race over. Clara Caponi, you see Sofia Bertizzolo here, Elena Cecchini, they have that other opportunity. Cecchini trying to get on top of that gear, but for Caponi on the right-hand side of FDJ Nouvelle-Aquitaine, she comes through with so much speed and overhauls Sofia Bertizzolo.
There's confirmation of your stage result. Clara Caponi takes her first win as a pro, ahead of Sofia Bertizzolo and Elena Cecchini, with Vedanta, Barnes, Devo, Gaskin, Eastland, Borghese and Van der Down your top 10. Clara Caponi, your stage winner today for FDJ Nouvelle-Aquitaine Futuroscope. The French rider takes the stage victory.
Talk me through that sprint finish, because it was a very tough finish.
Yeah, very tough. And with the crash, I was scared because I broke my collarbone 1 month ago, so it's not easy to be back on the bench. And so yeah, it was hard, but yeah, I don't know, it's crazy.
So that combativity award for the Cams Basso rider, big day for her. But it was Micah van der Down that took the lead in the Pillar Sprints jersey. So we also have our Skoda Queen of the Mountains, which was a real battle today, and it's Christy Majerus of Team SD Works. Our stage winner is also the leader in the Breast Cancer Now points jersey for Clara Caponi, FDJ Nouvelle-Aquitaine Futuroscope. The end of stage one, your stage winner, your first yellow jersey of this year's Women's Tour is Clara Caponi of Team FDJ Nouvelle-Aquitaine Futuroscope. It's her champagne moment on the podium. Your general classification looks like this going into stage two. Clara Caponi leads Sofia Bertizzolo and Micah van der Down by 4 seconds. Great start by Alice Barnes in 9th.
Well, Danny, congratulations for you today. A fantastic performance so far out, 1 minute and 10 seconds at one point from the peloton.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously when we had the break, it did, mentally it was quite hard to have that rest and be sat in the team car and then get going again. but it was a really good day out.
And I'm sure you've been on these roads so many times before, being a local team. How much did that affect your confidence today?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I used to be based in North London, so I used to go out to Essex quite a lot. So I know where the narrow roads
Every
are.
road round here.
Yeah, and what the road conditions can be like. So, I mean, you have to be alert all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool to ride around our area.
Yeah, and you excited for the rest of the tour?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely given me a confidence boost. So
yeah,
really
and you
excited.
certainly provided us with a lot of entertainment today. So well done to you, and good luck for the rest of the series. Well, that's it from us here today in stage 1 of the women's tour. Make sure you join us tomorrow for stage 2, where the race starts and finishes in Harlow.